Alright, welcome back. Let's get back into monopolies and start looking at the profit analysis. Well, let's start by comparing it to something you already understand, the perfect competition. Remember that in a perfect competition you're a price taker. And why are you a price taker? Because you're a little itty bitty fish in a really big pond of a lot of fish. So when you look at your supply and demand for the overall market has this supply and demand. And that here's your equilibrium price. And this is the price for your individual firm, right? And this price also is your demand, because that's the price everybody's going to demand at, because that's where it is everywhere. And if you sell it at a higher price, someone will just go next door to the other person making your good in the perfect competition and buy it from them instead at a cheaper price. Well, how does that relate to a monopoly? Well, in monopoly, there's a certain amount of market supply and demand for a particular good, right? I mean, it works the same way. This is the full market. Well, before, when we were in a perfect competition, you had the full market, and then you had to dive down into the individual firm. Well, in a monopoly, here's the full market. What does it look like for an individual firm? Well, it's a monopoly. Therefore, if you are the only one who's selling it, if this is the whole market, guess what your individual looks like? It's exactly the same. There's no difference between the two. The entire market and your market are the same. Okay? So what we see right off the bat is the first property of a monopoly is that they're a price setter. Monopolies get to tell the customer this is how much they're going to pay. Now, the question is, what does a monopoly have to do to profit maximize or pick the price, or really the quantity that drives the price for its particular market? Well, the way it works, it's a little bit tricky, but it's not too bad once you see the pattern. We are going to make one assumption about this particular analysis so that it makes our life a little bit easier, and that's we're going to assume that our demand, so in a perfect competition, our demand is perfectly elastic. It's this flat demand curve. But inside of a monopoly, we're going to assume our demand is now downward sloping, right? And for simplicity's sake, I'm going to assume that demand is this nice straight line. That just makes life a little bit easier for us. All right, our supply curve is our marginal cost curve, right? So when you're drawing your Chapter 6 production cost curves, you should realize that your marginal cost curve is the same as your supply curve. It tends to work that way. Now, you may think that this is where equilibrium would be, and that this is the price that they should charge. Nah, not quite. Because where do you want to set price is where marginal revenue and marginal cost are the same. This is demand. That is not your marginal revenue. So you need to derive what the marginal revenue curve looks like, given this demand curve. Well, when the demand curve is a flat line, the marginal revenue and the demand curve are the same. When it's downward sloping, it doesn't work that way. And the way it works is that you have to take the straight line and bisect the demand. So find the angle that the demand makes with the quantity curve and bisect the angle. And that's what your marginal revenue is. The book does a fairly good explanation of showing you the numbers behind what demand and marginal revenue is. Just realize that this is how it works. When you have a nice straight demand curve, downward sloping, your marginal revenue is always going to be the bisection of that line, again as a straight line shooting down. And where you are going to produce, as a monopolist, you get to decide how much you're going to produce. You're going to produce at the quantity where marginal revenue and marginal cost intersect. That's where you should maximize your quantity. Now, what price do you set? Do you set it at this price? No. If you set it at this price, then the cost for producing it and the price that you're selling it for are the same. Would you make any profit? No. So do you do that? No. So what you do instead is you look at your quantity and you say, demand will determine what my price is. So take the quantity that you're selling, which you found by finding where marginal revenue and marginal cost intersect, and go up to demand to set your price. There is the price you will set as a monopolist. And the difference between this and this is the profit you get per item. And the nice thing about a monopoly is you're the only one in the market, right? And there's some reason why there aren't other people in the market. Either it's government driven, it's natural, or you've priced everybody else out of the particular market. So is this profit going to go away? Nope. Monopolies can continue to make an economic profit because it's almost impossible, or it's mandated, that no one else is going to get in the market. So no one's going to come in and try and price them out of their, their profit. So they're always going to make money. Hence, you really do wish you were a monopoly. All right. Well, there's the analysis for why monopolies profit and where you figure out how to set the price and the quantity to produce in order to maximize that profit.